All right, perfect. So we are all done with day one of the Wealthy Trustee Workshop. We went through the entire indenture of the unincorporated business trust, and we filled out the entire thing. So now what I'm going to do is open up the floor for Q&A. So if you guys have any questions, and let me check in the chat too. But if you guys have any questions regarding what we just went over, you can go ahead and ask your questions now. So Casey, I had a question. It says, if the trust is in incorporation, can we use the address of the business? I know we are going over non-incorporated. I'm just thinking of that for our business. So can you use the address of the business? Yeah. So if you have a business address already, you can use that business address, especially if the trust is going to serve as the holding company, they can have the same address. So that's one thing. And then two, like I said, I recommend you using either a virtual address or a PO box or something that is not associated with you personally, okay? Just so that it doesn't come back to you. Jess said, can the grantor be another trust? Yes, the grantor can be another entity, another trust. It could be an LLC, a corporation, or a trust. And your trustee can also be an entity as well. And your beneficiary can be an entity as well. Does name of trust have to be all caps? No, it doesn't. It can be lowercase. So it does not have to be all caps. Can the protector be the fiduciary at the bank? So the protector doesn't have any power to be an authorized signer of the trust, okay? So no, the only people who are the fiduciary at the bank are the trustees or the treasurer of the actual trust. Next question. Does using statutes and a notary mix private and public and create a scenario where the trust can be pierced legally? So with the statutes, yeah, it does create for it to be a statutory entity. So you don't want to use statutes, and a notary, no, it doesn't. So a notary doesn't make it public or private. What makes the actual trust public or private is, one, if you are registering it with your county, or if you're registering it with your Secretary of State, or if you are pulling it into the private as far as like building credit for it and things like that, and using it commercially, and you having it or listing it within the public records, because you can also go to like, listyourself.net and stuff like that. So that's what pulls it into the public. But you have to understand it's a private contract, so you are not you're not putting yourself in the positions to where you're disclosing the content of the trust. So the notary is just, notarizing the signature, but you're not even showing the notary the actual contract. So they are only getting exposed to the signature page. Next question, how do we deem a copy of the trust as an original? So just because you stated it, that is what has to, what has to happen. So it's in the contract that if I provide you with a copy, you have to deem it as an original copy. So that's what that is. Next question, does anybody want to raise their hand? Does anybody want to come off mute? Or you can ask it in the chat. How do we document the SS4 form as the trust estate corpus? So the SS4 form is for you to get either your EIN or your 9-8, and we are going to do that in person. So when you are saying form as the trust estate corpus, I'm not sure what that section means. The SS4 form is to apply for your employer identification number for your trust. So that's what we will be doing together on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Next question, does each person that is a beneficiary have to be equal beneficiaries? Can it'd be 10%, another 40. Absolutely. So it just needs to equal out to 100. So you can do it to the point where, let's just say that you have 3 beneficiaries and you want to do 33, 33, 33, that's 99. So then that 1% you can actually leave inside of the trust, right? And so now you have 4 beneficiaries, and you have 3 beneficiaries, and then you're leaving 1% into the trust. Okay. But yeah, they don't have to have equal TCUs. Can the S corp be a grantor? Yes. So any entity could be a grantor. I think you mentioned this in a webinar with Dion, that you may want to sell a company to a trust to hide the previous ownership. Is that correct? Was that something else? Was that for something else? So that is correct. When we are transferring our assets, what we're going to do is the process we're going to take, and we're going to do this on Friday, you guys. So when we are switching our ownership from our S corp, our C corp, our nonprofit, our LLC, whichever entity that we have, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to do a business purchase agreement, meaning that we are actually selling the entity to the trust, so that we are documenting that we are no longer tied to the entity, right? So we've sold the entity, because you have to understand that the entity is on the public records. It's been on the public records, in all of the documentation as far as the formation of the articles are going to remain in the public records. So even though you do an amendment, they can see 5 years previously that you were the one who started the articles of incorporation or organization. And they can see that, that all of the annual reports, and you actually, what's the word I want to use? Renewing the business license. So with that being said, you want to document that you are selling the business, legitimately, to the trust. And now the trust is the new owner of the business. So once we've executed the business purchase agreement, then we're going to go ahead and do the amendment with the Secretary of State, and we're going to remove ourselves as the officers or the members of the company, and then we're going to add the trust. So that's the process that we're going to take together on Friday. Next question: if someone is in personal bankruptcy but wants to transfer their house into a trust, can they do so? So yes, you can actually transfer the deed. The only thing is that because you're in bankruptcy, I don't know how far you're into the legal process, right? So if you're, as far as where, the judge has control over the asset, then it'll be a challenge. But if you still have control of the asset and the deed, then you can quit claim it to your trust. You can quit claim it to your trust, and actually, when you quit claim it to the trust, all you have to do is, submit it to the county so that they can reflect the new owner as being the trust. So it really depends on where in that process you are. So the earlier in that process, the better, versus, the day before, a case. So, but yes, you can. Next question is, can I add a patent or a trademark as an intellectual asset to the trust? Yes, you can. You can add anything that's going to give you any type of royalties or anything like that. Yes. Craig, do you have a question? I see your hand up.
Yeah, my question is, how you doing?
Craig?
I have a holding company. Does this take the place of the holding company, or does this work? Can this work in tandem with the holding company?
Yeah, it actually works in conjunction, excuse me, with the holding company. So what you're going to do is, if you've structured it the way that I think you've structured it, your holding company owns other entities. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so now what you're going to do is, who owns your holding company? You do, right?
Right.
you're going to remove yourself from the holding company and you're going to add the business trust as the new officer of the holding company. And that's all you have to do. So your holding company is going to still remain the owner, and that's going to stay intact, right? So your LLCs are going to continue to operate, or your S Corps, whatever they are, they're going to continue to operate. And your holding company is still going to remain the owners of those entities. And now, instead of you being the owner of the holding company, you're going to remove yourself and add the business trust. That's the only thing that you have to do.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome, Craig. Do I have any other questions? I do want to be respectful of your time. We were supposed to end at 9 and it's 9:17. Sorry for the technical difficulty at the beginning of the call. So do I have any other questions for this evening? Okay, perfect. So what we're going to be going over tomorrow is, I do have another question. Can the business trust be a holding company? Absolutely, yes. So the business trust is a holding company. You can either do two things with it. You can treat it like a holding company, or you can treat it like a regular business and just operate with it. So one thing that I didn't tell you guys on this call is that an LLC, right, or an S Corp, or any of those other types of entities, they are statutory entities, meaning that you went to the Secretary of State and you set it up. So you went through the state to set it up. Now, what you're doing is, with this business trust, you're not going through the state to set up your business. You're setting it up yourself privately, okay? You can still conduct business with your private business contract or business trust. You don't have to go through the Secretary of State in order to set up a business, okay? But, they make us believe that. So now, because it's statutory in nature, that means that, one, they regulate your business. They have jurisdiction over your business. They can shut your business down at any time. If you don't renew your business, they're shutting it down. So they have a lot of power and control over your business. Okay. So that's why that is considered a, statutory entity. And this is what we consider a non-statutory entity, okay? So you do not need to register an LLC or an S Corp or a C Corp or any of those things. They are very popular. So like me, myself, I have LLCs, I have S Corporations, they're popular. And you can use that to, within your structure, but you do not have to. It's not like mandatory or anything like that. So you can use your business trust either as a holding company to own your other LLCs and corporations and be the owner, or you can just use it straight as business. So let's just say you had an Amazon store, or you were doing some type of e-com or anything like that. You set up your business trust, you name it whatever you want to name your business, and you start operating your business with your business trust. You start operating that e-com store, that Amazon store, that Etsy store, or whatever business it is that you want. Okay. Next question is, does the Board of Trustees vote on spending? So no. So when it's dealing with spending, that is the discretion of the trustee. So the trustee is the one that is, dealing with the financials and dealing with liquidating assets and spending and buying and selling and all that stuff. So no, they vote on other things, like meetings and stuff like that. How do you remain private? So how do you remain private is by not dealing commercially. So with for example, with your family trust, right? You don't want to start building business credit with that trust, because then you're pulling it into the commercial, you're pulling it into the public, okay? Because now you're going to be in the public records. So you want to keep that entity private. And so what you're going to do is, you're not going to volunteer any information when it's dealing with the trust, okay? So you're not going to volunteer who the actual trustees are, who the beneficiaries are. You're not going to show anybody the actual trust. Okay, so that is how the trust remains private. But you as an individual, what you can do is you can just stop using your personal name and your social security, and you can start using the trust for everything. And so that's how you can start operating privately too. So I know trustees, and I'm actually one of them myself, where I don't even have a a personal bank account. I used to have one with Wells Fargo and I shut it down. So because now everything is dealing with the trust, dealing with the contract, dealing contract to contract. So that's what that is. To borrow from the business trust, does personal credit play a factor? So to borrow from the business trust or for the business trust. So I'm not sure what type of question you want, but I'll answer both. So to borrow from the business trust, that means that I'm the trustee and I'm borrowing money from the trust. The trust has 100,000 in there. I want to borrow 50. So all I'm going to do is literally do a bank transfer, and I'm going to transfer $50,000 from the trust bank account to my bank account. And now I'm able to use that 50,000 for whatever I need it for. So the trust is going to issue a promissory note, and it's going to be from me, the trustee, promising to pay back $50,000 to the trust within 12 months with 3% interest. So that is how I borrow from the trust. That has nothing to do with my personal credit. That's just me taking money from the trust, borrowing it, and then paying it back. Okay. So now, to answer another type of question that you may have wanted to ask was, to borrow for the business trust, does that require personal credit? So if you are, and we're going to do this on Thursday. So if you've decided that you want to actually establish business credit for the business trust, then we're going to start from the ground up, right? So we're going to create a business profile. We're going to get a DUNS number. We're going to start applying for net 30 accounts. We're going to get 5 to 10 trade lines. We're going to create or establish a paydex score, and then we're going to start applying for credit cards. Okay, so that doesn't require your personal credit. Your personal credit is only a factor if you've decided to be a personal guarantor for your business trust to build up credit faster. So your business trust can build up credit by itself, but it takes longer, it's slower. And if you decide that you want to be a personal guarantee, you'll get there quicker. Okay. So next question, do we have to wait 3 years to obtain that? What is that? To obtain what? To obtain credit? And to decide that you want to be a personal guarantee, you'll get there quicker. Okay. So next question, do we have to wait 3 years? Jess said, thank you. You're welcome. Yes, business credit. Okay. So there's no real time frame. But I will tell you that, what I've seen with my clients is that you can get a paydex score in as early as 30 to 45 days. So I've done it with my students. You can, if you're intentional, if you straight off of, straight out the bat, you apply for 10 trade lines, they're reflecting on your business credit profile, you can get a paydex score in 30, 40 days. Okay. So that's one. Two, if you decide that you don't want to be a personal guarantee, then I will tell you that it's going to take you about 12 months to start, really building up your business profile to the point that that they won't ask you. Another thing too is that they consider your age. So if your business is less than 2 years old, then they also consider that, and sometimes they'll extend you credit or sometimes they won't. So I just had a client, she actually just got approved last week for $25,000, but she had to be a personal guarantee. I had another client, he got approved for $10,000, and he didn't have to be a personal guarantee. So but his was it had, more of an age. It was longer. So his was over 12 months and hers was only 3. So it just depends. If we already have business credit, how can we transfer that credit into the trust? You can refinance. So whatever credit that you have right now. So first and foremost, if you have business credit with your entity and you don't plan on dissolving your entity, leave it intact. If you have something like, for example, if you have debt that you want to offset and put it into the trust, you can refinance that debt into the trust. You can refinance that vehicle into the trust. You can refinance that house into the trust. Okay, so if you want to transfer debt, you can do that. But if you have business credit and you're thriving, leave it intact. And then, what you can do is you can get another profile, right? So if you have business credit with your LLC or your corp already, leave that going. Don't what's the word I want to use? Don't mess with it, right? If it's not broken, don't mess with it, right? Don't try to fix it. So if your business credit is thriving with your LLC, leave it intact and start building new business credit for your business trust, because you want to be able to leverage both, right? Why not, the more the merrier. So why not leverage both, right? Do you just need the declaration of trust to open up a trust account? I tried PNC Bank and they declined my trust doc. It wasn't from you though. Thank you for letting me know that. So the first thing is, no, I would not give them my declaration. You can, if they ask you, right? So if they ask you for your trust documents, then just give them the first 2 to 3 pages, right? So you'll give them your actual, you don't give them the entire trust document. So you can just give them the declaration, which is like the first 2, 3, 4 pages. But don't give them the whole entire trust document. So that's first. But 2, if you are opening up a trust bank account, just give them a certificate of trust. So you should have a certificate of trust, which is that, what we went over, which is that proof of identity. You should have a certificate of trust, and that should be enough in order for these banks to be able to open up a trust bank account for you. If you get denied from one bank, like this gentleman, he got denied from PNC, well, just go to another bank, right? So go to TD Bank, go to Truist Bank, go to, another bank. If one says no, because you have to also understand that when we're dealing with trust, a lot of these bankers, they're not familiar with the trust. They've never heard of a trust. I just went to the bank a couple weeks ago, and like the lady, it's like she couldn't even say the word. It was crazy. So you are going to be putting yourself in a position to where you're going to have to educate the people on the other side helping you with your trust, because they don't know. So you might find that, and that's why you probably got denied from that bank, because the banker is unaware or, uneducated. So you have to, educate them, or you have to let them know. Thank you. I'm going to Navy Federal. Navy Federal is a phenomenal credit union, and I have them and I highly recommend them. Why would a trust be denied? Well, a trust can be denied. So I just said that. So a trust will be denied, one, because of the person, the banker that you're dealing with. So sometimes, and I've seen this to where you will go to one bank and the banker just doesn't know what's going on, and you would kindly leave that bank and you would go to the same bank, different branch, and get a trust opened. Okay, so it could be the person that you're dealing with. That's one reason. Two, some of these banks want your actual trust documents. They want everything. So for example, Chase Bank is one of those banks, right? I used to recommend them, but now they're changing the rules. And so I do not recommend them anymore because they're asking for the entire trust document. Then they're going to send it to their legal department. And then if you have what we call a common law trust, they're going to deny it. So save yourself the trip and don't go to that bank. So it just depends, okay? I was in PSC legal team and they denied it. Yeah, exactly. So they'll deny it if you have a common law trust. They want you to have a statutory trust. They want you to also be registered. Not all banks are like that. So you need to go to the right bank. So the ones that I recommend Ally Bank. They don't ask you for anything. I recommend Truist Bank. They do not ask you for your trust documents. So those are two banks that I have, and those are two banks that I recommend. And then if you guys go into the online portal, you will see, because together we're not going to open up a bank account, but in the online portal, you have access to the video trainings that show you how to open up a bank account with Ally Bank. Okay. Those aren't in NY. Okay, well, Ally Bank is it's an online bank and it's nationwide, so you can use them, because I know Truist is not there. TD Bank will, I think TD Bank is in NY, and I do think that I mean, I know for sure that you can open up a bank account with TD Bank. Thank you so much. Perfect. Okay, do I have any last questions? It is 9:33. Do I have any last questions? If not, I will see you guys tomorrow. So tomorrow we will be setting up your private family trust. So please go through the checklist that you guys were emailed today and figure out who you want to be the grantor of your trust. Figure out who you want to be the actual, trustee of your trust, the beneficiaries of your family trust. What are you going to name your actual trust? Things of that nature. Okay. And then I actually do have homework for you guys. So the first thing that I want you to do is join the Facebook group. So you should have received in the email, you should have received the link to the Facebook group. If you don't have it, I'll go ahead and drop it in the chat right now. So go ahead and apply to be in the Facebook group, and then we will let you in, me or Aya, we will let you into the Facebook group. And then what I want you to do is I want you to, hold on, where is this thing? All right, I'll find it in a minute. So what I want you to do is I want you to post in the Facebook group why you guys decided to be a trustee and decided to actually open up a trust or establish a trust. So let me put, hold on one second, I'm going to put it in the chat right now. Join the Facebook group. And then if you haven't introduced yourself already in the Facebook group to our community, go ahead and introduce yourself. So in the chat, I put the link to the Facebook group. Go ahead and join the Facebook group. Do a video introduction of yourself, introducing yourself to our lovely community of wealthy trustees. And then please, let us know why you decided to become a trustee, right? Why are you deciding to grow wealth the right way, be a steward of your wealth, and become a wealthy trustee? So if, let's see what I have set up, junk email. I don't use Facebook. Okay. If you don't have Facebook, then that's fine. So I will see you guys tomorrow here on Zoom. It will be a different Zoom link. So Aya, my assistant, is going to send you guys the updated, a new email, a new email with the resources for tomorrow, with the template for the private family trust for tomorrow, and the specific Zoom link for tomorrow. So I'll see you here on Zoom tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Everybody have a good evening, and thank you for joining me tonight.